We have major breaking news right now. There is a school shooting in America again, this time at the Abundant.
So this comes from the book Circumcision, the Hidden Trauma, How an American Cultural Practice Affects Infants and Ultimately Us All, by Ronald Goldman, PhD, who happens to be a very, very Jewish man and a really amazing Jewish man. According to criteria established by the American Psychiatric Associations in the DSM-5 or 4, circumcision is a traumatic event. Yeah, you would think that the most sensitive areas of your body, ripping them off with ineffective anesthesia that doesn't even block the pudendal nerve, even if the best anesthesia is given. I mean, most of the time they get pacifiers shoved in their mouth, which is another form of torture, because while you're having excruciating pain of some of the most magnitude that most men will ever experience in their lives, having a pacifier shoved in your mouth so you can't scream is probably terrifying. But anyways, because circumcision is a physical trauma experienced most often in infancy, it may have a particularly damaging impact. Okay, well, if you look at the way the brain is developed, immediately following birth, the brain is creating synapses, pruning unneeded synapses. The movement in the brain is exploding. This is literally called by psychologists the critical period, is the most important period of a child's brain development. So the earlier in life the stress happens, the worse the effect on the child's future brain development. In fact, this activates genetic codes that enhance reaction to future traumas. It literally affects brain development. I've actually heard this a couple times as well. Young children have remembered their circumcision experiences and associated feelings and details. Circumcision of older children have resulted in increased aggression, withdrawal, and reduced adaptation. Yeah, early life trauma literally affects brain development. One of the key areas of the brain that it affects directly is called the amygdala. And the amygdala is your fight or flight alert system. It's what tells your brain, hey, you are in danger. It's this little pea-sized area of your internal brain. And it's very, very important in your survival structural systems of the brain, also called the limbic system. Anyways, the amygdala is shown in trauma-damaged children to grow larger, which means it alerts more extensively. There's even a term called amygdala hijack. And amygdala hijack is basically where a person loses control. And I had no idea what this was growing up. I would just never at people. It was never at people because I'm a very I don't like to harm other people. I'm a very egalitarian person, and I don't want to do what to other people I don't want done to myself. And so I believe in fighting for the rights of the weaker and things like that. But I would punch a hole in a wall, kick my car door, and just lose it. And I could not stop it. It's like I had to damage something, and in the process of damage something, I felt better. And I've had this all my life. And I used to blame it on my dad because he would fly out of rage. And then when I started studying this, I learned how, highly sensitive this area is. It's the main sensory tissue. It's 3/4 of the nerves. It has the two most sensitive parts, full of minor corpuscles. This is like crushing your fingers and degloving the end of your fingers. It's excruciatingly painful. I've talked to men that have had this done as adults. One guy, it took him 6 months of recovery. I mean, I know that these are not all the same, but it's excruciatingly painful. A lot of people say, I'd rather have it done as a child so it's not as painful. You don't know. Children are like 4 times more sensitive according to MRI studies. It's absolutely horrendous that we're doing this to children. This is during the critical period. This is the most important period of their brain development. The earlier in life, the worse. The analogy I use is it's kind of like in space you have a rock, and of course, it's moving at a certain pace and speed. And then imagine if something hits it, okay? The earlier in time that external object creates force and alters the direction, if it's going this way and it gets hit, it's going to go off center, right? Of significant force, it's going to go off center. It's going to be like a bowling ball. It goes off the way, off a different direction. And the earlier that hit happens, the longer in the future, the exponentially, the more the divergence of that track goes in the future. The earlier you do this to a child, the worse it is. This is why I speak out against it, because it creates these types of problems.